It's the final day of competition at the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games, and there's still a lot that needs to be decided. One thing that has been decided, we're starting the day with a swim. Men are up first. Here are your overall standings. Matt Fraser, your leader by a mile, but behind him, only 45 points separate second place Jeffrey Adler from fifth place Noah Olson. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Sean Woodland and Chase Ingram. And Chase, for the first time since 2013, we're actually going to be in a pool.
Oh, we're back at my home. I swam in college, and it's so nice to see the pool back, outdoors, new test, unique test. I'm very excited the way it's going to start off the day.
The two big storylines coming into the day. The first, Matt Fraser is putting together the greatest individual performance we have ever seen at the CrossFit Games.
Ever seen at the CrossFit Games. You take stage 1 and stage 2 combined. Matt Fraser has won 12 of the 16 events, and we still have 3 more yet to come. That's what the schedule at least tells us. Who knows here at the CrossFit Games? But this is a generational talent. Matt Fraser is single-handedly the greatest CrossFitter we have ever seen, and we get to see one more full day of competition of his greatness.
Now behind him, it's total chaos. Noah Olson comes into this event in fifth place overall, but only by 45 points, and that can change in one event.
It absolutely can, and it has all weekend long. This is one of the greatest races we have ever seen for the podium at the CrossFit Games. Noah Olson, he's sitting in fifth place overall, but he's only 45 points out of second place. That's the difference between 2 events, or just 2 places in one single event. And you look what's on schedule so far that we know. We have a swim event. Noah's one of the best swimmers in the field for the men. We have a sprint event. Noah's one of the best sprinters in the field for the men. So anything can happen as far as who's going to occupy second and third place. Now we look forward to the rookie. New blood at the CrossFit Games. The potential future of the sport might even take place in Matt Fraser's mantle when he retires. And it's not going to happen this weekend. But again, he's the wild card of the weekend. We don't know what to expect from him. I don't even think he knows what to expect from himself, but he's coming out and he's competing with toe-to-toe with Matt Fraser and the rest of the field. I've really enjoyed what I've seen from Medeiros. Jeffrey Adler. Jeffrey Adler is the only man to draw a little blood on Matt Fraser this weekend, and now it's his Event 3 win in the CrossFit Total, but it was only by 7 pounds. But he got him nonetheless. What I like from Adler is that he's shown the ability to at least get close to Matt, but he has rallied the guys around him after the sandbag sprint. He said, one of us needs to beat Matt. And what we're going to see for these 4 guys, between Quant as well, is they're going to try to not just get in that podium spot, but maybe take a win from Matt Fraser.
Adler, Quant, Medeiros, and Olson have all occupied every spot on the overall leaderboard, and Jeffrey Adler hasn't been in the same spot for 2 straight events until the last 2. So I think volatility is the best way to describe this leaderboard. So again, plenty to be decided in spots 2 through 5. Swimming stuff is up first. We'll give you the details on that in just a second. The sprint sled sprint, that's been known for a while. That's going to be event 11, and then we close things out with Atalanta. Still don't know the details on that event, other than that Dave Castro has said it will be the toughest event ever programmed at the CrossFit Games. Swimming stuff presented by Pure Spectrum. This is an interval event.
It's a pure interval event. We've seen ones in the past, the finale in 2011 and 2223 in 2018, but this is going to be very fun to watch. It's going to be very fast. We're sprinting on the bike. We're sprinting in the pool. We're sprinting on the GHD. And that's right, folks. There are ball slams program at the CrossFit Games. Programmers at home, you can do this now. It's not just a boot camp event. It is at the CrossFit Games, and it's going to be a very exciting race to start off the final day.
And for more on those ball slams, let's send it to Nikki Brazier, who is at the Morgan Hill Aquatic Center.
And you guys are absolutely right. The D-balls are not necessarily an odd object when it comes to training, but certainly when it comes to competition. And where you may start to see that get interesting is when it comes to cycling this movement. Now, according to Chandler Smith, who was on the demo team who tried this out this morning, it's just odd. It's awkward. They're used to cycling a barbell, so he wasn't sure quite how much force to use when it came to either wanting to bounce the ball or to cycle it almost like a clean and jerk with a bar. So it'll be interesting to see how these athletes are able to adapt quickly, especially coming out of the water.
Lane assignments for Event 10, swim and stuff, presented by Pure Spectrum. Matt Fraser, your overall leader, right in the middle of the pool. Jeffrey Adler right now is the man who sits in second place. But again, only 45 points separate him from both Noah Ohlsen and Justin Medeiros, and Sam Quandt is only 25 points back of him. You got to think Noah Ohlsen's looking forward to getting into the water here.
As I said before, he's the best swimmer in the field. He's got that water polo background. The man loves the water. I can't think of anyone he hasn't beat in this field in a swim event. But this is also a very aggressive event. This is a no-thinking event. That's perfect for Noah Ohlsen today. And then Matt Fraser. These are the events where he could possibly lose. He's won every event except one. He doesn't want to come into Sunday and give any inch to any of these athletes. So he's going to have to fight very hard to keep that first place streak alive.
Every time Matt Fraser wins another event, he sets another record right now. 27 career event wins. That's the best in history. We are underway. 15 calories on the assault bike for the men, then a 50-meter swim, 10 GHD sit-ups, and then 10 slam balls. And remember, rounds 2 and 4 will be completed in reverse order. Now here's the key. They will not know their cumulative time throughout the event, and their coaches aren't there to help them out with that. So Ohlsen and Quandt are into the pool. Here comes Matt Fraser. Ohlsen closest to the screen, Quandt right next to him.
When you look at the reps in this event, it is all about the swim. It'll be the longest part of this entire event. The bike is fast, the ball is fast, and the GHD is even faster. There's no room for error when it comes to that. If you slip your foot on a GHD, you're not going to make up in 10 reps. Same thing with the ball slam. So everything is throttled down from start to finish, but the best swimmers need to take advantage of the hardest part of this event, which is that straight 50-meter swim down the pool.
There are 36 scored repetitions in each round, and now Noah Ohlsen and Sam Quandt, the first two out of the pool, and here comes Matt Fraser as well. Justin Medeiros and now Jeff Adler onto their GHDs. They have to do 10 of these and then 10 slam balls. 4-minute interval. Fastest cumulative time through the 4 intervals will win the event. Fraser's done, Quandt and Ohlsen are done, and now it's on to the slam ball.
I need to see Noah throw that ball down harder. Look at Fraser in the middle lane as he's pulling up quick and driving it down, but it slips out of your hand, and that's the danger of coming to the slam ball wet. Matt Fraser had a little bit of a slip. No room for error, and at 10 reps, you cannot have little mistakes like that. Noah had a clean run. Matt slipped in this about 4th or 5th rep, and that was the difference between a first and second place finish for the first interval of 4.
So only 8 seconds separating Ohlsen from Adler. Ohlsen wins the first interval. Adler finishes in 5th at 2:08.74. Now they will rest until the 4-minute mark, and they will do the event in reverse order for round 2.
So now we have an idea of what this event's going to feel like. They weren't sure how are my feet going to feel when I get onto a salt bike without shoes on? That's a unique feeling, and it does change the intensity. Right? How do I get used to getting my feet? The water is one thing, but again, you had to sprint the bike. Quandt did that next to Noah, but Noah was the better swimmer. Now, I said send the swim. You're going to have to do that if you're a bad swimmer. You have no choice. You can't be slow if you're not the best. However, if you're a good one, it's okay just to be good and not get as fatigued and save it for the end. But transitions between the two. Noah getting to the ball just ahead of the other athletes, but Quandt started first. I want to see more intensity from Noah between the movements and not just focus on speed during the movements.
Noah Ohlsen with the fastest time in that first interval. 2 minutes even. And Jeffrey Adler finishing 5th, 2:08.74. So a tight first interval.
And here's the thing. Tight is the perfect adjective to use here because we said we don't want to belabor no room for error. Matt lost 3 seconds to Noah. It's not, you're not because of a slip up on the med ball. If Noah has a clean run, there's no room to make up. He's going to have to hope Noah screws up in the next 3 intervals.
Interval 2 is underway. Remember, your cumulative time is your final score, and these guys don't know what their cumulative score is. So the only way to know that you're going to win the event is if you win every interval.
Matt is not throwing the ball down. Matt is just touching the ball to the ground. I haven't seen anybody do this yet. Now, he just dropped it on that one, but that limits the errors you can have by trying to pick up a low bouncing med ball.
Number 36 scored repetitions in the event. The number of repetitions these athletes have completed will be indicated in the white box next to their names, and then the leader's name will be highlighted in blue. Right now, they are all neck and neck. Olsen's off, Quant's off, Fraser's in, Medeiros and Jeff Adler is the only man who didn't finish at the same time, and it's Justin Medeiros at the top of your screen right now who leads here in interval 2.
I like that from Medeiros. That's actually a pretty darn good stroke out there from Medeiros, and he's really sending the swim. Again, it comes down to the swim in the middle, good or bad, and then clean transitions and reps on the ends of this event. But Matt Fraser is also pouring the intensity on both Quant and Noah Ohlsen.
Fraser now is pulled ahead of Medeiros. Olsen, the bottom of your screen, is in 3rd, and Sam Quant will make the touch 4th. Fraser and Medeiros out of the pool at the same time, and now onto the assault bike for 15 calories. Here comes Olsen.
You gotta go. There's no pacing here. There's no pacing for 15 cals on an assault bike. Look at Matt Fraser in the center lane. Look at the cadence he has driving on that versus Noah Ohlsen in the 4th part of your screen.
Fraser and Quant trading the lead. Their judges' hands in the air at about the same time. Now Medeiros' judge's hand is in the air. Olsen's judge's hand. Fraser's across. Quant is across. So actually faster that time down. So Fraser's going to be able to erase that 3-second deficit that he had to Noah Ohlsen and actually gain some time on him. Fraser beats Ohlsen by 6 seconds. But remember, it's your cumulative time now, and these guys don't know what that is as we're halfway through this event.
I think Matt in the first round, he just felt out what the event was going to be like. How is this bike going to feel? How's my heart rate going to be in the water? What's the transition going to be like on the GHD? And getting used to a slam ball. I guarantee you Matt's never really done slam balls in training before. Barely any of these guys have, unless they did an on-ramp at the first CrossFit event.
And another thing I'm thinking is that think about the last time we were at the pool and how there were, to put it kindly, a wide variety of techniques employed. All these guys now basically look the same when they're in the water.
Well, where did Matt lose the first part? It was on the slam ball where it slipped out of his hand because he was dropping and catching. He learned his lesson and never let go of the slam ball. But when he got to the pool, he really poured on the intensity that I'm not seeing from Noah. You think you would see a little bit more of that. Noah actually looks exhausted in the pool. And then when it came down to the bike, again, there's no pacing in this event. When it's like, don't send it. You got to send it from end to end. And Fraser did that and just edging out Quant. So that should put him pretty close up, maybe in a 2nd place position. Noah lost 6 seconds on that round.
Results for interval 2, both Fraser and Quant go sub 2 minutes. Ohlsen, Medeiros, and Adler separated by 10 seconds. So right now, unofficially, Sam Quant has the fastest cumulative time at 3:59. Fraser 2nd at 4:03. Noah Ohlsen 3rd at 4:05. Medeiros is 4th at 4:07. And Jeff Adler is 5th at 4:24. Again, that's unofficial. So Sam Quant right now, your event leader. Fraser in 2nd, Ohlsen 3rd. Interval 3 underway, and we start with 15 calories on the assault bike.
You still got to push the bike. You still got to push the bike as if it's the end of the event. There's no option here. It's the 3rd round. We should have figured out what it feels like to go down, how you're going to feel like coming back, and you should have perfected your pace and perfected your technique for all 4 of these movements.
Sam Quant done first, and he is into the pool ahead of everybody, and Quant has a 4-second lead on Matt Fraser right now for first place. Justin Medeiros is in.
No surprise to see Quant off the bike first. He's the biggest athlete in the field, and it pays to be a big boy on an assault bike.
Noah Ohlsen's back in 4th. He's on the left, he would be on the left side of your screen towards the middle. But he was the fourth man into the pool, followed by Jeff Adler. But Sam Quandt is in the lead. 4-second cushion on Matt Fraser coming into this interval.
Most of these guys' swim technique and ability is about the same across the board. So you got to make sure is where can I get time on people? And it's things like an assault bike. If you're big enough and strong enough, use that to your advantage while you can.
Quandt done first. He'll get onto the GHDs for 10 and then onto the slam ball. Trying to hold off Matt Fraser right now. Fraser's out of the water, and he'll join Quandt on the GHDs. Quandt through now 20 of the 36 scored repetitions. Fraser looking like he's able to cut into Quandt's lead here on the GHDs a little bit, but Quandt done first and now onto the slam ball. Here comes Fraser in second.
Now I'm curious to see if Matt uses that same touch and go technique as he did in the second interval.
And now another slip for Fraser. Remember, it's only 4 seconds between Quandt and Fraser at this point.
Quandt's getting gassed.
Quandt is done and Quandt is in, so he's going to increase his lead on Fraser going into the fourth and final interval, 2:16.64 seconds, and here comes Fraser. So Quandt picks up another 7 seconds on Matt Fraser, so unofficially his lead will be 11 seconds on Fraser going into the final interval. Noah Ohlsen is in. He takes fourth in that interval, 2:34.58. Medeiros also finished. He took third in that interval, and now Jeff Adler will take fifth. Let's send it down to Nikki Brazier, who's at the pool.
Guys, I think we are really starting to see that the wetness factor of getting out of the pool and onto these pieces of equipment is really starting to take effect on these athletes. In between rounds, they're taking their towels that were put on the end to dry their bodies with and using it to dry the D-balls, to dry the GHD, and hopefully get that little bit of an advantage come the next round.
Thank you, Nikki. Jeff Adler, who is bringing up the rear here, started the day in second place. And remember, only 45 points separated him from fifth place Noah Ohlsen.
Yes.
And that's how quickly this can change.
And what I like to see from Samuel Quandt is that all weekend long, we talked earlier, he's kind of been the guy playing golf, using only the irons, just keep it down the middle of the fairway, not hitting the big bombs off the tee box. But Quandt, last night in Happy Star, went out hard and tried to keep pace with Matt Fraser and maybe dictate it a little bit. We wanted to see more of that for Quandt. He's picking up where he left off this morning in this first event. It's going to be very, very hard for Matt to take over Quandt in this if Quandt can still keep the intensity he's had so far.
Stand by.
Final interval underway. Sam Quandt unofficially has a 10-second lead on Matt Fraser in this event. Justin Medeiros is in third place, and he only has a 3-second cushion on Noah Ohlsen. Jeff Adler right now has the slowest cumulative time, unofficially 7:05.65 seconds for him. Now Fraser's done first, and he'll get to the GHDs. Quandt is second, so Quandt just has to keep Fraser basically next to him. 10 seconds is all he can afford to lose.
Matt got there first by, again, using that touch-and-go strategy with the slam ball. We haven't seen anybody else use that. I'd be curious to see if we're going to see more of the women do that since they got to see that take place.
So Fraser's off. Medeiros, who's off first. He's at the top of your screen. Quandt staying with Matt Fraser.
So it's the same thing we saw on the interval. When we go back the other direction, it's been a favor of Medeiros. He's fast on the slam ball in the GHD, loses some pace in the swim. But Fraser's tempo on the assault bike at the end. Quandt has the ability to be faster. He just can't get too far behind. There's not a lot of room you can make up on a 15 cal assault bike.
So Justin Medeiros, top of your screen, third place in this event coming into this final interval. Matt Fraser in the middle is in second, and Sam Quandt at the bottom is in first. 10 seconds separate each of them from each other. So Medeiros is only in third by 10 seconds. Fraser is in second by 10 seconds over Medeiros, and Quandt has the lead. So Sam Quandt will probably have the advantage on the assault bike, and as long as he keeps Fraser close, he's going to win his first event here at the CrossFit Games.
This is it. This is the end of the event. It's 15 cals on the assault bike. Matt's looking over at Quan. Can't see Medeiros' screen, but he's going to look anyways. It's a full send to the finish.
36 scored repetitions in this event. Sam Quan is 231. Fraser's judge's hand is in the air. Quan's judge's hand is in the air. Fraser's in. Quant is in. So Sam Quant only surrenders 2 seconds. So Sam Quant is going to win this event, and he's probably going to find himself in second place overall heading into event 11. Justin Medeiros is in. This is big for Medeiros because remember, Jeff Adler only led Medeiros by 45 points going in. So Olsen gets in. He's going to pick up 20 on Adler. Medeiros will pick up 40. Quant's going to pick up 85.
And all we're going to see second through 5, we thought it was compressed earlier coming in. It's going to be that much tighter coming out of this event.
And once again, just put it in a blender and mix it up because the leaderboard just does not want to stay the same after every event except for that guy. Matt Fraser will still be in first place overall.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Quant unofficially has won the event, and he did it by keeping Fraser close on that final interval.
And he just had clean runs, right? He had clean runs, good transitions, good on the slam balls. On the back half of this, for this fourth interval, Medeiros was just as fast as he was on the second interval in this reverse order for this event. But it was Fraser's good transition out of the pool, goggles off and to the bike, and the intensity that Matt Fraser is putting on this competition got him at least the win for the interval. But it was Samuel Quant's consistency and clean runs that got him the victory for this event.
Sam Quant, who has just, like you said, been just kind of quiet, except for that, all weekend long.
Is that another announcer's curse?
I guess so. We've been pretty good at it all weekend long. But now will find himself inside the top 3 and looking at a spot on the podium right now.
And that's it with 2 more events to go. And with we talked about the volatility of the leaderboard so far. With the sprint event coming up, that's another volatile event.
And Matt Fraser's still your overall leader, but Sam Quant wins an event, and he is with Nikki Brasher.
Yep. With so many different factors in front of you here, you're wet from the pool, you're barefoot, we've got the D-balls in the end. How confident were you going in that this was going to be your event?
I honestly wasn't sure how I was going to go. I didn't know for sure it was being my event or not, but I think I was just able to hold on a little longer than everyone else. It was all about the assault bike, and that hurt really bad.
When you say hurt really bad, do you mean like fatigued legs?
Just
or you
everything.
can't breathe?
Like,
just
at
everything.
this point, I'm just trying to keep my breakfast down. It's pretty
Got
gnarly,
it.
yeah.
Got
Assault bike
it.
intervals are never good, and it was all about the assault bike.
Yep, and the first time we've seen this type of an
Yeah.
interval so far in the test. As far as the entire test goes, I mean, how are you feeling in terms of, checking out all those different types of modalities and ways of testing these
Yeah, I
events?
think Dave's nailed it so far, and it's definitely been a good test so far. It's been gnarly.
Congrats, thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like some of that breakfast may have actually come up to say hello. But Sam Quant is going to win his first event. 8:29.66 seconds. His cumulative time through those 4 intervals. Matt Fraser will take second. Justin Medeiros will finish in third. Noah Olsen takes fourth, followed by Jeffrey Adler. Overall standings, they change once again. Matt Fraser remains in the overall lead. Sam Quant has vaulted into second. Jeff Adler goes from second to third. Justin Medeiros separates himself from Noah Olsen, and Olsen remains in 5th place. And Sam Quant, courtesy of that victory, has a little breathing room now.
That's a first. Well, we say that, and then something crazy happens in the next event because of the way things have been going all weekend. But a strong performance by Samuel Quant. Great way to start off the third and final day for competition. Trying to get in that podium position behind Matt Fraser.
Men are done. They will hand things off to the women. We'll bring it to you. Coming up next, Swimming Stuff, Event 10 for the women.
I'm excited to have you guys here for the CrossFit Level 1 course. For you guys, it's essentially a 2-day camp where we're going to give you as much of CrossFit as we possibly can in the 2 days that we have with you guys. And this is a program that is the very first of its kind, and our goal is to give young ladies and gentlemen just like you guys the opportunity to have all of what CrossFit is about. So our opportunity to expose you is something that we take very, very seriously.
Atlanta Leadership Club is a small nonprofit here in Atlanta. We work with families and kids from underserved populations here, and mainly we focus on teenagers with the idea of job skill, life skill development. CrossFit Scholarship Program came along where we are able to bring kids into a safe, sanitized space with some really cool activities and focusing on fitness and health and how to build them into better humans, which is something that's super exciting because we haven't had that in a few months of just like in-person interactions. This has been really amazing for that.
It can be misconstrued that you have to make this huge big splash to have impact. And honestly, I think, with what little work I've had in the past of this type of an involvement, I think the biggest thing that we've given is just an opportunity, another exposure to recognize that there's something else that's beyond whatever is your everyday life. The Level 1, being able to come to a facility where you know that the things that are happening there in the facility are geared towards health and fitness is a huge thing. But then in addition to that, to share kind of like a common bond of all the things that are going on the planet right now, in addition to the athletic side of things, it's just been a really good experience, not only for the kids, but obviously for us as leaders and those that are designed to kind of paint some of the picture going forward for these kids.
I believe that the Level 1 is incredibly profound. It was profound for me. It changed literally the course of my entire life, and that's the exposure that we want to give these kids, because we know that it's more than just a fitness program. It changes what happens between the ears, and that can affect their future potentially in really positive ways.
Feet underneath the shoulders. Wide grip on the bar. Bring that up overhead. Good. Press up, pitch forward. And again, show me your name tags. Ready? And squat. Right now, the things that are on my mind are primarily what's next for these kids. We've given them a great opportunity to expose them to some of this knowledge and the information that's out there, and to see the excitement from them and start to plan their after-school activities and be able to figure out new ways to stay off the streets and do some more productive and active things in their life. That's the part that really resonated with me so far, and to see the kids talk about that and hear them get excited about it, I think that's mission accomplished with this seminar.
Yeah, there you go. Start coming up. Start coming up. Good, and keep the bar close.
Literally, 15,000 other people have taken the Level 1 and then opened up a small business and provided for themselves and their families. And we're basically giving these youth, young adults, an opportunity to a skill set to where if they chose to down the road, they could open up a gym and make a living off of it. We're not just exposing them to CrossFit and teaching them how to do CrossFit, we're giving them the tools and the foundation to actually be a trainer if they so choose to go down this path. We're putting our boots on the ground and we're making a difference, and we're leading by acting.
Sick, well, and fit. And a better way to look at this is, I'm in trouble, I need a doctor's help, I'm doing okay, and over here, I'm doing so good, my doctor wants to know what I'm doing, like he's interested. Unfortunately though, if most of our communities are sitting here, they don't have far to go before they're really in a bad way. Because we see fitness as a hedge against sickness, with wellness as the intermediate step, all right? We are looking for a balance of lifestyle here. And this lifestyle thing is kind of a little bit of our responsibility is what it means. But that kind of assessment is what's going to make you make meaningful decisions about everything in your life. What am I going to eat? Who am I going to hang around with? What's my workouts going to be like? All of that stuff can be quantified right there, okay? Cool. 4 and 4. 4 stomps, 4 claps. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sweet. All right.
Hey, we wish you could be here, man.
Thank you.
Good to see you, buddy.
We'll get you in here when you get better, in like 3 days, right? He was supposed to be here this week, but he was shot.
a couple weeks ago. So he's doing good. He's doing a lot better now. So he's out of ICU and he's breathing on his own and stuff. So that was him. He was waving. It was so good to see him. He's good. Thank God.
All right, guys, whenever you're ready, get well to Trayvon.
Get well, Trayvon. I wish you were here. Yeah. Before you can get big like Chuck, you see Chuck over there. You see how big Chuck is. We trying to get like Chuck, but we can knock somebody on the field. But we sorry you got hit and shot. We wish you were here. We miss you.
I came into this weekend thinking that we're providing something for the kids. And I think what ended up happening was they provided a lot more for us. I think that it just proves the fact that, I don't know, man, you think you have the answer sometimes, and then you show up and you find out that you might have a lot, but you might not have all the answers. This weekend, who knows what it's going to turn out to be for these kids? Who knows, man? It may just be another weekend that they get a chance to be away from whatever circumstances, or take a couple minutes to just not have to think about certain things that are going on. And that's one avenue. But the other avenue is that they have the same level one that I had. I mean, they have the opportunity that the trainers worldwide that are 14, 15,000 gyms are getting. This is their initial exposure. Yeah. This is a spark. And I think that the tendency may be to look at short-sighted. I don't think we're going to know until 10 years down the road what this opening weekend is going to be, or has been. Yeah. And that's okay, and I'm okay with that.
Time to do some swimming and stuff. It's event 10 of the 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games from the Morgan Hill Aquatic Center in Morgan Hill, California. Tia Toomey, your overall leader coming into this event. Catherine Davis-Daughter currently sits in second place, and Carrie Pierce right now occupying the third and final spot on the podium. Thank you for being with us today, everybody. Sean Woodland and Chase Ingerman. Same story as it was with the men. One storyline at the top, that's Tia Toomey. Kind of looked human a little bit at the end of day one, but then put those rumors to rest on day two. Just dominated on Saturday.
There are dyads in the force, Matt Fraser and Tia Toomey are, as Tia Toomey is dominating the field here this weekend. I mean, there's not much more you can say. We did see a little bit of a chink in the armor at the end of day one, as you said, with the handstand walk and the trail run. But what she did yesterday, she was untouchable. It wasn't someone got close, someone pushed her, she was untouchable. And what she has been doing this weekend alongside Matt Fraser, again, is unlike anything we have ever seen in the sport. We've had one great, one good, but never both pure greatness of the sport happening at the same time.
Catherine Davis-Daughter solidly in second place right now, but still has a lot of work to do. And then the question becomes, who's going to be the first American woman on the podium? Carrie Pierce leads that race, but only by 45 points over fifth place Brooke Wells.
And the way things have gone all weekend, it could be one, it could be two, but the race for the podium to break that streak since 2014 with Julie Fouché. Carrie Pierce in the driver's seat. She's had a solid weekend so far. Not too high, not too low. But I like the way this shakes up today. You start in the pool, you have some sprints out there on the competition field coming up after this, and she had a good way to end up day number two. But Adams, I don't want to use another Star Wars reference, but the Force is strong with this one. Her metachlorians are off the charts, and what she's proven so far with a veteran field is that she belongs in the conversation as one of the best American female athletes in the sport on the women's side, and just 19 years of age. She has had some good moments and some rough ones as well, but how she's handled the bad ones have impressed me the most. Brooke Wells, the ranch hasn't really played in her favor so far this weekend. She's been close and then petered off at the end. But we're not at the ranch now. We're at a pool and we're going to do some sprinting. Oh, by the way, she has some collegiate background in track and field, so this could be a good day 3 start for Brooke Wells.
Event 10, Swim and Stuff, is presented by Pure Spectrum. Interval event, but unlike the men, the women will only be doing 10 calories on the assault bike.
Here's what they can learn. They can learn from the men because with such a short timed event, the little details make the biggest difference.
Let's send it down to Nikki Brazier, who is poolside at the Morgan Hill Aquatic Center.
Yeah, we really started to see with the men's heat how difficult it is to hop out of the pool and stay wet, stay slick when it comes to these movements. And this is the one apparatus that Dave Castro said in the athlete briefing to the athletes. Make sure you try this before you start this event. Make sure you know what it's like to get in and out of the GHD when your body is still wet. So we'll see if these women took advantage of that little tidbit of information.
And you got to think that Tia Toomey and Matt Fraser were commiserating after the men's event. Tia Toomey, the overall leader, right in the middle of the pool. Carrie Pierce, who currently occupies 3rd place overall, will be in lane 2. And then right next to Tia is going to be Catherine Davids-Daughter. But Tia Toomey solid in the water.
Stand by.
Tia Toomey solid in the water, but so is Catherine Davids-Daughter. She had that back injury, so what did she do a lot? She biked a lot, and she swam a lot. So I'm curious to see Catherine holding on to 2nd place so far. Can she sustain that momentum she gained from the 2nd day of competition?
10 calories on the bike, 31 scored repetitions in each 4-minute interval. Carrie Pierce and Haley Adams swapping 1st place. Brooke Wells is done as well. She's into the water. Carrie Pierce is in the water. And Tia Toomey is actually going to be the last into the water here as we take a look at the keys presented by Pure Spectrum.
It's about the swim. This is the longest, toughest part of this event. The bike's going to hurt, and the GHDs and slam balls is technically challenging, but the swim is where you need to push the pace. And then there's no room for error. We saw Matt Fraser had some bobbles on the slam ball on the men's side. That is why he lost this event. It wasn't with fitness, and it wasn't with a poor game plan. It was a technical mistake.
The leaders are on opposite ends of the pool. Haley Adams, who's at the top of your screen in lane 5, she was in the lead there on the swim. And Brooke Wells at the bottom.
Yeah, but first out of the water is Tia Toomey. That's why you send the swim. She was last off the bike for a reason. She didn't make a mistake. She saved herself for the important part of this event.
So Toomey first to get going on the GHDs. 10 reps here, then 10 reps with a 40-pound slam ball through 17 of the 31 scored repetitions. They will not know their cumulative time here, just like the men. And Tia had the fastest swim out of any of the athletes.
What I'm curious to see is the technique on the slam ball. We saw Matt Fraser bobble it because he's trying to slam it down. But what he did on the 2nd round was this touch-and-go technique where he never let go of the ball, so it didn't give him an opportunity to mess it up. See Catherine Davids-Daughter, 3rd from the right. She hasn't put the ball down at all, so she is hanging on to it like Fraser did.
And now a no rep for Toomey. And Davids-Daughter and Adams are in right next to each other. Toomey's across, and that leaves Carrie Pierce and Brooke Wells out on the floor, and now they are in. So Haley Adams with the fastest time by 0.4 of a second in that first interval. Brooke Wells takes 5th. About 12 seconds separating the two of them.
Now starting the bike, you have to have a strong bike, but play to your strengths. You had Adams. Adams was actually off the bike first. It wasn't Brooke Wells, but the last one off the bike was Tia. Why? Because she's a good swimmer. She doesn't have to go hard on the bike, and she doesn't actually go hard on the swim. She's just faster than everybody. And once you got to the GHDs, you got to throw your throw pacing out of the window. But the mess up here was Tia Toomey got a no rep on one of her slam balls, and that's the 3-second difference between her, Adams, and Davids-Daughter.
Now Carrie Pierce also got a no rep as well. They need to show full extension at the top of that slam ball, and she got docked for not doing that, so had to do that rep again. But Haley Adams takes that first interval, 2:05.42, 0.4 of a second ahead of Catherine Davids-Daughter. Tia Toomey only 3 seconds back. And then Carrie Pierce and Brooke Wells have some ground to make up here in interval number 2.
And you look at that difference actually time-wise, it's only 2.3 seconds difference between Davidsdottir, Adams, and Tia Toomey. That's the no rep. That's when we say there's no room for error. You have to go as hard as you can, but you can't just throw caution to the wind and miss those little technical pieces that make the difference when you add it up 4 times in a row.
10 seconds. Stand by.
Interval 2 is underway. Haley Adams again with the fastest time, but just barely, 0.4 of a second over Katrin Davidsdottir. Tia Toomey was third, less than 3 seconds behind.
Look at it, all 5 of them touch and go. No one's dropping the ball anymore. They've learned from their mistakes, and now they're all playing on the same playing field.
Now to the GHDs.
Look at the
10 reps.
speed from Haley Adams on the left side of your screen. Her cycle time is faster than anyone out there right now.
31 scored repetitions, and Haley Adams is through 20, and she's going to hop off the GHD and be first into the water.
When you think about CrossFit Mayhem, you think GHD sit-ups, handstand walks, bar muscle-ups, and swimming in the water. Haley Adams is putting what Rich had said to the test, but here comes Tia Toomey, the best swimmer in the women's field, and it's not even close. That is a darn good swim stroke. I'll say that as a former swimmer myself, that's a good swim, and she's saving the swim as her separator between the rest of these women.
Toomey now in the lead here in interval 2. She had to make up less than 3 seconds on Haley Adams. Adams, top of your screen, sits in second. Katrin Davidsdottir is in third. And then Carrie Pierce in fourth, with Brooke Wells right now in 5th place. Tia Toomey's on the bike, 10 calories. Haley Adams now on the bike.
And keep in mind, Haley beat her on the bike on the first interval. That might have been due to a concerned effort by Tia not to blow herself up before the swim. 2 seconds difference between Tia Toomey on the first interval. So Haley, if she can keep it close, she might not lose that overall cumulative lead to Tia.
Toomey is done, and she is in.
That's
Haley
very
Adams
close.
right behind her. So 202.92 for Toomey. Davidsdottir's in. We don't have a time yet for Adams, but she was right next to Toomey. Now, Wells and Pierce. Wells is across, and that leaves Pierce now, the only woman left on the bike. Pierce is in, and that'll close out the second of 4 intervals. Cumulative time, that's what we're looking for here. The best cumulative time will win the event. Tia Toomey, I don't know if she totally made up the deficit. It was only about 2.3 seconds, but she definitely cut into it.
So look at the pace in the slam balls. Brooke Wells on the far right started dropping a little bit, but then everybody got in sync. No one's dropping the balls anymore. That touch and go we saw from Matt Fraser leading into the women's field. But Haley Adams, her speed on the GHD was incredibly fast, and she's good in the water. She's not a bad swimmer, but Tia Toomey in lane number 3 is a great swimmer. That's the big separator between the two. But Haley, a strong bike, Tia as well, and that's got to be less than 2 seconds. I can see Haley Adams being slightly ahead of Tia on the cumulative time moving into this third round.
We still don't have an unofficial time for Haley Adams, but it did look like she was able to keep Toomey close enough to hold on to a small lead.
Now, what we saw Tia's issue on the first round, which this will be a repeat of that, is that she was last off the bike, first out of the swim, but then got a no rep on the slam balls. I wonder if she's going to slow that pace down on the back half just a little bit to avoid that error.
Interval 3 underway, 10 calories on the assault bike. And unofficially, we think Haley Adams has a slight lead on Toomey. Now, Toomey, her unofficial cumulative time right now stands at 4:11.09 seconds. Katrin Davidsdottir sits in third at 4:13.77. Brooke Wells is fourth at 4:36, and Carrie Pierce is fifth at 4:42. Again, that is all unofficial, as we still are waiting on an unofficial time for interval 2 for Haley Adams. Now, she is off the assault bike. Davidsdottir is off, and Toomey is off. So the three of them making their way to the GHDs.
And I said, being the second time we've done this direction of the interval sprint, Tia now knows how hard she can survive the push on the assault bike. And the way she felt after the first round, she pushed it much harder. She was last by 5 seconds in the interval 1. She knows she can handle the intensity, and she's pouring it on now.
So unofficially, Haley Adams is your leader right now in the event. 4:08.42 seconds. Toomey in second at 4:11.09, and Davidsdottir in third at 4:13. So really tight. Just 5 seconds separating first from third right now. Unofficially in the event as Tia Toomey gets on to the GHDs for her set of 10. Trying to track down Haley Adams, who's just now getting out of the pool along with Katrin Davidsdottir. Third of 4 intervals, 31 total scored repetitions, and Tia Toomey is through 18 of them.
This is the advantage you have by being a good swimmer against the rest of the field. Most of these athletes have done a lot of swimming, and they're all good at it. But Tia is great compared to the other 4 athletes, and it shows when you get to the middle part of this event.
Well, Tia Toomey has now erased that deficit that she came into this interval with behind Haley Adams. Adams on the far side of the floor here. Davidsdottir is between the two of them, and Toomey closest to the camera. 1 rep to go for Toomey. And now she is done. Tia Toomey is in and looking like she's going to be the event leader heading into the 4th and final heat.
But Davidsdottir might pull ahead of Haley. Yep, Davidsdottir went touch and go. Haley had 2 or 3 slip-ups with the ball.
But Davidsdottir only picks up less than a second on Haley Adams. So Adams is going to slide in the second. Toomey will lead going into the 4th interval. Brooke Wells just got across, and so Carrie Pierce now the last woman on the floor. And now she is in. So 2:39.40.
So right off the bat, Haley had the fastest bike in the first interval. It's the same direction they're going for the third. And she's really pouring it on. But first off the bike was actually Katrin Davidsdottir ahead of both Adams and Tia. But in the first interval, Tia was well behind the rest of the field. She pushed the pace on the bike, blew away the field on the swim. Once she got out of the water, it was no mistakes for her. She didn't need to sprint. She didn't need to get out of control. And a nice steady pace for Tia. But the difference maker towards the end was Katrin Davidsdottir's Unbroken versus Adams.
Let's go down to Nikki Brazier at poolside.
You guys, the consensus down here poolside is that this is really a heart rate event as opposed to, say, a power output event. The guys showed us that, as well as the demo team told us that if the athletes don't find a way to regulate their heart rate, then it's not just a feeling of overwhelming exhaustion in between rounds. It's also this sort of overwhelming nausea that is not what you want to be facing when you have another interval still in front of you.
Fourth and final interval starts with the 10 slam balls. Unofficially, Tia Toomey, your leader, by about 6 seconds over Haley Adams. 6:22.70 for Toomey. Adams at 6:28.41. Davidsdottir stays in third. Brooke Wells and Carrie Pierce are fighting for fourth right now.
Adams off the ball first again. She has the fastest GHDs of these 5 women in the field.
31 total scored repetitions. Haley Adams, your leader right now in this interval. Her name highlighted in the blue box at the top of the screen. Now through 19 of the 31 scored repetitions. After the GHDs, it's back into the pool, and Adams will get there first.
Now, she might not beat Tia in this event. Tia is just too good of a swimmer when it comes to this event. But what she needs to do is being in that 5th place position, as she has to beat the other 3 women.
Tia Toomey is in the lead in the pool. Looking to win yet another event. Haley Adams is looking to gain some points on Katrin Davidsdottir and make that race for second place overall a little more interesting.
Man, she's just so smooth and dominant in the water. That is just a great advantage to have for this sprint event.
Toomey's out onto the assault bike, 10 calories. She had a 6-second lead coming into this fourth and final interval. So Haley Adams is going to have to go to flat on the assault bike if she's going to have a chance of beating Toomey.
And the big thing for her is that at least stay ahead of Katrin Davidsdottir, Pierce, and Wells. She needs that huge point gap between those other three to get her back into contention for that podium position.
Davidsdottir in the middle is on the bike. Toomey's getting set to finish up. Her judge's hand is in the air. Brooke Wells now just getting on the bike along with Carrie Pierce. So that's the battle for fourth and fifth. This is the battle for one of the top three spots. Toomey's going to win the event as she is in. Another 100 points for Tia Toomey, and now Haley Adams is in, so she's going to pick up 20 on Katrin Davidsdottir as Davidsdottir comes across.
Davidsdottir closed hard on the last 10 cals, but that's huge for Haley Adams.
Pierce and Wells, the only two left on the bike. Pierce is in the middle of your screens. You take a look at Haley Adams, who sold out on that final interval to take second place unofficially in this event. Wells is in, and Carrie Pierce, who was in fifth place coming into this final interval, will stay there. And Tia Toomey, no shocker, is going to stay on top of the overall leaderboard.
No, and she ties up the old winning percentage against Matt Fraser. Tia Toomey, center lane, not dropping the ball, that touch and go, but it was all Haley Adams early. Again, her GHDs are so incredibly fast. You can see her on the left side of your screen. But once you get into the water, it was all Tia Toomey, and it wasn't even close. Tia pouring it on at the end. Nice transition out of the pool. No slip up getting up to the bike, and just powered through it at the end. Good, it's good for Tia. But really, in the end, we're talking about the podium chances and an American getting up in the top third position. That was huge for Haley Adams.
Haley Adams making a move there as Katrin Davidsdottir and Brooke Wells share a laugh about that event. But great effort for Haley Adams. Tia Toomey wins another event, and she is with Nikki Brazier.
Different movements in a different pattern, down and back. What were the differences as far as your strategy when it came to how you attack the different rounds here?
Yeah, so I mean, when you started off with the assault bike, you didn't want to go above your threshold, because then you had to go into the swim and still do those other movements at a nice fast pace. But then when it came to you're a little bit dry, you dried off the ball. You could go a little bit faster on the ground overhead, and then you could bring it home and just go all out on the assault bike. So I guess, you know, it is a sprint, so go all out in it all, but be smart about it.
Sure. Now, you had an incredible day yesterday, you know, a sweep of these types of events. How does that change your mindset, or does it change your mindset when you still have, you know, another full day of competition?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. You know, the new day, in my eyes, the leaderboard is back at 0, and, you know, we're all fighting for the same spot. So it's just go all out until the very last workout.
I mean, you're smiling like you're having a good time, but I know that event was just soul crushing in a way. Just, I think, tell us a little bit about how this drives you, because we can see it. Your passion is clear.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I guess, you know, this is what we train all year for, and especially this year, we have trained for the CrossFit Games for well over 12 months now, as the Open was last October. And so, you know, I'm just really grateful to be able to actually compete this year with everything that's gone on.
Well, thank you so much. Congrats.
Thank you.
Final results for event 10. Tia Toomey, another 100 points, as she beats Haley Adams by 14 seconds. Adams holds off Katrin Davidsdottir. Brooke Wells will take fourth, and it's Carrie Pierce who finishes in fifth. Overall standings, top two remain the same. Haley Adams now moves into third ahead of Carrie Pierce, but only by 20 points. And Brooke Wells still very much alive in that race to become the first American on the CrossFit Games podium since 2014.
When you think about that race, we have quite the race coming up in the next event with that sled sprint. We have these 4 athletes vying for 2 positions in a short event like this. Anything's possible by going up and down the leaderboard.
2 events remain. We'll take about an hour break, and then we'll be back at the Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Complex for the sprint sled sprint. Then Atlanta, still waiting on the details of what has been billed as the toughest finale in CrossFit Games history. Head to games.crossfit.com for leaderboards, athlete profiles, and more. We'll see you back here in about an hour. The 2020 Reebok CrossFit Games is brought to you by Reebok. Visit Reebok.com to shop the official 2020 CrossFit Games collection. By Rogue. Don't weaken. By U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Find out at GoArmy.com. And by CrossFit. Start your fitness journey, find a local gym, or sign up for a training course at CrossFit.com.